All right, let us welcome to the program the former Titan FC Bantamweight champion, Danny Sabatello, who is set to make his Bellator debut this Friday night at Mohegan Sun. He's going to take on fellow promotional newcomer, former UFC Bantamweight contender Brett Johns at Bellator 259. Danny, good to see you in quarantine, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Feeling ready to go, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So right off the bat, congratulations on not only getting this fight, but it was also revealed that you signed a multi-fight deal with Bellator, and this is obviously well-deserved and great news for you. So I'm curious how this all came to be. Like, when did you find out that A, you were getting this opportunity, and B, you were also signing an exclusive deal with Bellator MMA?
Well, I've been on my manager, Jason House, from Iridium Sports, telling him that I was a big fan of Bellator. You know, I'm at American Top Team, so one of the perks of that is having guys around me in my ear telling me, you know, what I should do, give me an advice. And everyone at ATT has been saying good things about Bellator. So I kind of figured that was the route I wanted to go. So I relayed that message to my manager. We thought something was going to come up, or someone was going to get injured, or someone was going to get corona, and I would have a chance to get in. And I think it was last Thursday, I got the call from my manager. If I want to fight, Brett Johns said, you know, of course, fuck yeah, I'm going to take that any day of the week. And then we just went from there. Now I'm here in Connecticut and ready to fight this guy.
It's been a busy year for you, man. This is I think this is your fifth fight in the last 12 months. I mean, and you became the Titan FC champion, defended it, and then you had the Contender Series win sandwich in between. You didn't end up getting a contract, but as you just said, it seems like things worked out the way it was supposed to. I guess, how would you describe this last year or so with all these fights, the opportunities you've been given, and how everything ultimately worked out for you?
I would say I was continuously progressing, not just in my training, but with the opportunities and everything that was happening. I don't really take too much time off. You know, if I don't have an injury, I don't have a sense in taking the time off, relaxing, and all that stuff. I'm basically in camp 24/7. You know, I live inside the gym. Of course, obviously, if you get hurt, that's another thing. But the bottom line is I love fighting, so I'm always in the gym. And if I'm always in the gym, I'm always going to be prepared to fight. So whenever these fights pop up, no matter what promotion, no matter what the circumstances, I'm going to take it. So that's why I've had all these fights in this short amount of time is I've been telling my manager and everything, you know, let's go. And might as well just line up fights. You know, if I'm scheduled with one fight, I'm okay with scheduling a month after that and just continually racking up the W's, because I'm very confident in my abilities, and when I'm healthy, I don't see the reason why not to fight.
You go on the Contender Series, and obviously the reason you go on the Contender Series is to try to get a freaking contract. So you win a dominant decision. The fight with Taylor Moore was not close, but Dana White ultimately decides to pass on you. So hearing what you're saying now, in the end, is it almost better that you didn't get the contract now? Because you seem like you're happy with the way things panned out. Your teammates over at ATT were saying good things about Bellator. Is it almost like a blessing in disguise that you didn't get the contract?
Yeah, I hope it's a blessing in disguise. You know, hindsight's 20/20, but I do think this was a better route for me in the end, not getting that contract. But, you know, we'll never know. Either way, I do feel disrespected till to this day not getting that contract. You know, 30-24 scorecard, probably the most dominant performance ever on that show. I don't even know if anyone's ever had a 30-24 scorecard, so I was shocked by that. But, I mean, I guess that puts a little bit more of a chip on my shoulder. Then I landed in Bellator's lap, as you know, and I do think it would be for the better, and we'll see.
The last time we saw you compete, it was the title defense in February at Titan FC 67. You beat Damon Blackshear, which he's a tough guy, and the crowd's booing you because, you know, you're dominating him on the ground. And then in an Al Iaquinta-esque way, you decided to cut yourself a bit of a promo on those people who didn't find your style all that exciting. So why did you feel the need to do that after the win? Like, you kept the belts, you got your boat, you got your win money. Why did you feel the need to sort of add the cherry on top of the sundae and start calling some folks out?
Well, just for the haters that don't like me, I'm not going to be one of those guys that just listens to them and tucks my tail between my legs. I'm going to dish it right back at them. You know, if you don't like me, I don't give a fuck. I don't like you. But, of course, the people that like me, I like them back. You know, I love fans. You know, everybody that's cheering for me, of course, that's great. But I do want people to understand that, this is mixed martial arts, and you might have an idea of where a fight should go or how it should take place. But the bottom line is it takes place wherever I decide it's going to take place. If I want to stand up on the feet, then I will. If I want to take it to the ground, I will. And, one thing about dominating someone that people don't understand is when you dominate somebody, it's not going to be that exciting because it's very one-sided. When a fight is very exciting, you see all these exchanges and scrambles and all that. So if you're booing me for how dominant I am, it's almost like you're clapping your hands to me because you're saying, I'm so much better than this guy. This is boring because all he's doing is beating the shit out of this guy. So I take it as a compliment, really, but I do recognize the disrespect in the crowd of booing me. So it's just fuck you. I got the win. You understand that I'm dominating this guy, and then time goes on.
So does it kind of suck in a way that there's going to be no fans on Friday? I mean, you get a couple of media members, the production crew and the commentators, some Bellator officials, but you don't get to hear the booing or anything like that. Is it better to have the fans? Like, are you kind of upset that there's going to be nobody there watching you perform?
Yeah, I for sure like the fans. I'm a guy that feeds off emotion and energy. Whether it's positive clapping from the fans or even booing, I kind of like that. I think that's what fighting is all about. It's the passion and the energy in it. You feel that crowd. You feel what they're thinking and everything. I love it. I love the fans there. But it is what it is. If there's not going to be fans, then that's all right. I would rather fight in front of no fans than not fight at all, is the way I look at it. It's really no sweat off my back. It doesn't affect my performance, I think, without having fans. But I for sure would love to have the fans and play to them.
Looks like we're getting pretty close to Bellator getting fans. So this might be the only time you fight in the fight sphere, so to speak. So you get Brett Johns, who was one of the big signings last year for Bellator, coming over from the UFC, 17-2 record. The only losses are to Aljamain Sterling, who's the current UFC bantamweight champion, and Pedro Munoz, and he's coming off the 2 wins against Montel Jackson and Tony Gravely. You get the chance to come in here, that chip on your shoulder, and play a bit of spoiler here. You must be loving this right now.
Yeah, I'm going to beat the shit out of the guy. I'm very confident that there's no way that this guy can beat me. The only way he does beat me is if he catches me. But I just think my defense is too intact for him to catch me. I don't see on the feet him posing me any problems. And then obviously on the ground, I'm a better grappler. I know he's a judo guy from Wales. I've never heard of judo in Wales. Maybe I need to get out more often. But yeah, I don't think anything he's going to do is going to pose an issue to me, and I'm going to steal his thunder. And I also do expect to dominate him. I don't want to just win over this guy. I know he's good, but I'm better. So I'm just going to go out there and dominate him.
So is he a guy you've been watching for a little while now? Like, do you know a lot about him?
Yeah, definitely. Because Pedro Munoz and Tony Gravely are both my teammates at American Top Team. So I've watched those fights, and I've been watching those fights, just like watching film and everything. So I do know a little bit about him. I've seen his fighting. I've seen, some of his tactics that he does. And I'm excited to get in there and smash his fucking head.
Have you had a chance to talk to those guys? Like maybe give you some tips? Like, I don't know if you're the kind of guy that looks for tips. You seem to be your own individual at the end of the day, but have you talked to those guys? The fight with Tony was ridiculous. That was like one of the crazier fights of the year.
Yeah, the fight with Tony was crazy. There was just scrambles on scrambles and scrambles. This was a short notice fight. I only found out about this a few days ago, but Tony and Pedro were both in the gym when I was last week, and I did talk to both of them. So just, little things that they said, little tactics that he does, not too much. And me specifically, in general, I don't like knowing too much about my opponent. I don't like studying him. But I do want to know certain little details if they have something. If a guy's got a crazy, spinning heel kick, I want to know about that just in case, just in case the fight could end in a second's notice. I want to know those type details. But they basically said, you know what, you're better than this fucking kid. Go out there and just prove it. I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
A win over Brett Johns would be a big one for you. I mean, the Bellator bantamweight division is pretty exciting right now. We got a new champion in Sergio Pettis. Juan Archuleta's there, the former champion. You got guys like Patchy Mix and Rafion Stotts, and of course James Gallagher seems to be the name that all these bantamweights are calling out these days. How do you feel you stack up against those guys and the rest of this division?
Yeah, it's a very exciting time in that Bellator bantamweight division, and you see those guys getting recognized more and more. I think people are starting to recognize the depth in that weight class, but I see no issues with any of them, especially the champion Sergio Pettis. I mean, I know after this win, I'm not going to get a title shot. It's just not how it goes. But eventually, if I do fight for the belt and it's Sergio, I'll fuck that guy up. And if he's the best, then you take all those guys below him, and I'll do damage to them too. Patchy Mix, I was supposed to fight Patchy Mix that last fight. I got the call from my manager to fill in for James Gallagher to fight Patchy Mix. I said yes. I started cutting the weight. I got a call a couple hours later from my manager, and he said somehow the fight fell through. So I don't know if Patchy said no or if he was scared or the promotion said no, but that fight was almost going to happen a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I'm hoping to fight that guy somewhere along the line too. I honestly think all these guys are scared in the division, especially when you got a guy hungry as me coming up. And it's just going to be exciting from here on out.
Did you watch the Pettis Archuleta fight?
I did. Yeah, I was actually surprised how bad Archuleta's wrestling was. Pettis, when he would get taken down, he popped right back up and he did stuff a lot of those shots. When you face a guy like me, I don't think you're going to be able to defend those shots. And when I get you down, I keep you down. And then also his hands on the feet, he looked good against Archuleta, but I have a little bit of a different style than Archuleta. I don't think it matches up too well for him, but I guess we'll have to see.
Well, first things first, you get a chance to spoil the party on Friday and turn it into the Danny Sabatello show, which I'm sure is exactly what you're hoping for. How do we get this thing done, and how do we insert yourself emphatically into the mix here in this Bellator bantamweight division?
Yeah, I think I imposed my will on him, from the get-go. I'm not going to do anything, crazy from the start or any of that, just because when you're the better fighter, you don't want flukes to happen. You don't want randomness. You don't want a slug fight. If you're better, you just have to focus on winning that fight and doing the fundamentals. So I'm just going to go out there, impose my will, dominate him, maybe take him down, maybe feel him out on the feet. Maybe it's a striking match. I don't know. I'm not worried about his striking. But I do think second round, I'll just be battering his face up and I'll get that TKO in the second round.
There you go. It's an interesting time, no doubt about that. Should be a hell of a fight. Should be a hell of a card. Bellator 250. By the way, who's out there with you?
It's gonna be Mike Brown, Steve Bruno, and probably King Mo in my corner.
Oh, man, that is a murderer's row of cornermen right there.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to the fight, man. Congratulations on signing with Bellator. This is long overdue, in my opinion, and I'm sure you would agree with that sentiment as well. Mohegan Sun this Friday, Bellator 259 main event, of course, Chris Cyborg versus Leslie Smith for the women's featherweight title. But, Danny, thank you for the time, man. Enjoy the rest of quarantine, and all the best to you on Friday night, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.